Business Pros Radio Show is back. One reminder, this is the last one for the summer, taking a wee break and back in the fall. So you want to get a hold of Paul, you should do it now. Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com and 416-444-7767. You're just joining us. This is a show for business owners, whether you own one now or plan to. We share high-level business intelligence to help owners with marketing and sales fulfillment so they can make better decisions. That's what the show is all about. Paul, how are you, pal?
I'm good. Well,
Excellent.
It's our last show.
I know.
Very
well, for
exciting.
Now. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I hope everybody's having a good summer so far. I'm off to have my own good summer.
Enjoy the
Although
heat.
Business is busy, so we have a lot of work to do. But we are taking a break until the fall. So if you've been meaning to pick up the phone and call me, just like several people did this week, actually, because I'm leaving, I'm willing to have that conversation. It's always an interesting thing to hear from business owners about where they're spending their marketing dollars and their sales dollars, and possibly help. I would say that in the majority of cases we can help. We don't always have all the answers. Yeah. In fact, there's a lot more things I don't know anything about than the things I actually know. The good news is the things I don't know anything about, I don't help people with those things.
Right? You avoid those.
I avoid those.
I was speaking with my wife and my mom. Actually, it came up. We were just talking about shopping and the price of groceries, and somehow it got into food allergies and pets. And I mentioned that dog food company that you'd worked with. And she goes, oh, I've seen them. I've seen they have their own freezers inside long. I go, that's them.
That's them. That is them, yeah.
And an amazing story right there. And again, you've been working with them for some time. And they just about fell off the edge to make a big mistake before you caught them, right?
She started making raw dog food for her own.
For necessity.
Dogs, because they had allergies, which is one of the biggest reasons why people turn to raw, because their dogs aren't doing well health-wise.
Oh, it's like the processed garbage we eat. It's the same thing with general dog food. That's why they do it, for sure.
And all she did was look up a recipe online. She got it from some lady in Quebec and started making her own dog food in her kitchen. And a friend of hers came over one day, saw her doing this. She said, oh, can you make some for my dog? And then another friend, can you make some for my dog? It turned into a business. And in 6 years, it grew to $13 million a year.
That's like...
Some people are just born that way, I think.
Man.
But she's made some good decisions, and she's at the point where online marketing is a big part of her process. So that's where we stepped in, and we're doing good. We're doing really good, actually. In fact, on launch day for her new site, we did, I think it was, well, I don't want to give the exact number, but let's go with, I'm just doing some quick calculations in my head. It would be 1,600%.
Jeez.
In one day.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's what good launch does. That's what good marketers do. They don't just
say, here you
throw
go.
up a new website. You launch it. It's like when you launch a business, it's an important and integral part of the process. So therefore, you must make a big deal out of it. And we found a way to make a big deal out of it.
And it worked really well.
Now,
before we get into our topic, she had just about done something, I guess, as far as the website is concerned, that probably thousands of businesses do every day. And they just put it in someone's hands and let them build it, and away you go. But luckily, found you in time, and you corrected it.
Yeah, I corrected a lot of because she had been like a year and a half in development.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's a long time. Yeah. And all I did was really point out the many, many mistakes that I thought they were making.
Right.
And that process is based on experience, right? I'm looking at something going, well, how come this company didn't pay any attention to the current site and what it's doing and how well it's doing in certain areas, and how come they didn't leverage those areas?
Right.
So anyway, and then that fixed those things aside with the proper launch sequence, then we did really well. So that kind of brings us to today's topic.
Yes.
Because, that's really a concept of revenue. So she still has to deliver on her promises.
Sure.
She has to pack the dog food, freeze it.
Make the dog food.
Send it.
Yeah.
So there's still a whole bunch of stuff in the back end. But when it comes to creating more revenue, I've learned in business, there's really only 3 ways to create more revenue. And you may, disagree with this, but it's kind of the way I look at it. So number 1, do what most businesses do, which is really the hardest thing. This is where they put most of their focus and attention, is go and find some more customers.
Sure.
Go find new business.
It's the way to do it.
Easily the hardest and most expensive thing to do. But you must do it because, eventually you're going to fulfill on your promises to current clients, and you're going to want to find some new ones. The second way is to sell more frequently to the clients you already have.
Okay.
That's all we did with the dog food company. These were already existing clients on a mailing list that all we did was leverage that list to create more business. Does that make sense? It's much easier to do that.
But it was such a huge change and an uptick for just with existing clients.
It was, because it's not. We didn't send out one email saying, "Hey, there's a new website online. Go buy something."
Right.
That's not a proper launch. We had 7 emails timed, and they were, building hype, and they were offering incentives, and there's a bunch of things that you can do. So the second way is, get your current customers to buy more frequently. So she had a bunch of people buy that it wasn't their cycle to buy. And maybe they buy in stores rather than online.
Right. Number 3,
raise your prices.
Always good to do. Well, I guess it could be.
Well, it's not always
good
to
do.
Well, and it's not just about raise prices. It's about selling maybe bundled products rather than selling one. Sell a bundle of products. Give a slight incentive. So those are the 3 things that we're going to talk about today, and how a company can do all 3. Yeah. Because a lot of companies, they're just focused on finding more business, and we're really good at that. But I think it's more advantageous to the company to not only go after new business, but also take care of the second 2. And we're going to talk about how to do that and the automation system behind it, which really works well. And I recommend it for 100% of our clients. That's what we're going to talk about after the break.
And we will take that break. Again, this is the last show before a summer break, so you'll want to get a hold of Paul. You should do it as soon as you can. Take this down, paul@trainingbusinesspros.com, and 416-444-PROS is the number. It's a Business Pros radio show right here at Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. The number is 416-444-7767 or 444-PROS to get a hold of Paul here, or paul@trainingbusinesspros.com. This is the last show we're doing before a summer break, so you want to make sure you get that information down and contact Paul moving forward, because the show stops for a bit, but the business never stops, does it? So reiterating, fastest ways to make revenue. 3 ways creating more revenue. To go back over.
1, go out and find some new customers. Yes. Easily the hardest and most expensive thing to do.
Okay.
2, sell more frequently to the clients you already have.
Okay.
And 3, raise your prices or give bundled offers.
All right. So how can a company do all 3?
We have a solution, actually. It's a very specific system. It's called the 7-step client value optimizer system.
Right.
So give the client plenty of value, but optimize your revenue at the same time, and do it in an automated way. So this is not about piling on human resources, which really is a real struggle for companies. People are busy. I mean, when you come to work every day, you're busy, right? You don't just sit around and do nothing and start thinking about your life. You got stuff to do. You got stuff to do, and you do your job. And most people within a company are always working. So this is not about that. This is about automating a system that's continuously working in the background with human resources if they need to get involved.
Okay.
So we call it the 7-step client value optimizer system. Yep. And those 7 steps are, number 1, go find targeted traffic sources.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, is your audience on Facebook? Is your audience on Instagram? Is your audience doing Google search? Is your audience on the Google Display Network? Is your audience on other websites? Where is your targeted geographical, demographical, and incentive-based audiences? Okay. Where are they? And that's not an easy thing for most companies to do, because they're like, well, should I advertise on Google? Should I advertise on Facebook? Where should I advertise? So that's number 1. Number 2, and we're going to talk about how to do that, by the way. Number 2 is incentivize the initial contact. We call that lead magnet. Give them something of value.
Throw them a bone.
Yeah, throw them a bone. Get an email address as the price of admission. 3, instigate the automatic follow-up system.
Which is?
Any type of automated CRM, customer relationship management software, that fires off responses based on trigger points. If the client does this, do this. But sometimes humans have to do it, but most times the automation can take care of it. Number 4, once they're in the system, offer them something low cost in time and money. We call that Tripwire, right? Don't try and sell them a $50,000 product right out of the gate.
Yeah,
sell
not
them
gonna
a
happen.
$50 product. get them to trust you. We call that Tripwire.
Okay.
You're walking through the forest one day and you trip over a wire. It's like they're walking through your website one day and they trip over a wire because they get something of value for low cost in time and money. Number 5, upsell them to core product, which is where most companies make the majority of their money. It's like
what they do.
If I was an insurance company, a core product would be car insurance.
Right.
Get the idea?
Yep.
6, profit maximizer. Profit maximizer is taking the 20% of your clients that trust you the most and continuously innovating new products and services for them. Yeah.
So retention.
Okay. Right, lifetime.
Yep.
Because it's so much easier to keep a client lifetime than it is to go find somebody new to replace them. 7, return path. Okay. Instigate an automated system to get people back to the point where they left off. For example, if the only thing they've ever done is take the lead magnet for free, your first order of business is to return them to the Tripwire continuously until they take it. So it may not be the same Tripwire, it may be another one. But over time, once they give you a credit card, you win. Because there's 2 things that happen. 1, they trusted you enough to give you a credit card in the first place.
Right.
2, they have a working credit card, which a lot of people don't.
Seriously?
Well, yeah. I mean, people try to buy things with credit cards that are maxed out all the time. Yeah. So if it actually goes through, that's a good sign. And number 3 is you get to over-deliver on your promise. And when you over-deliver on your promise, they're thinking, oh, look at all the value I got for this small amount.
Right.
What could I get for this amount?
Right.
You with me?
Keep them going.
And we often do that with clients. We'll bring them in. We'll offer them a good AdWords package, right? We'll start advertising on Google AdWords, and we do a good job there. They move on to something else. They move on to maybe you can redo our site to make it more enticing. Maybe you can redo the behavior journey. Those kinds of things. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so we'll get into the details about this after the break, but I want to make sure that people understand this is our last show until the fall. And if they want to talk about this with us, we'll talk about it. So give them the contact information.
And we'll continue with this, and that is the fastest way to revenue. It's an important show. It's the last one for the season before we return, as Paul said, in the fall. Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com is the email. The phone number, 416-444-PROS. Back with more Business Pros Radio Show right here, Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Business Pros Radio Show, last one for the season before we take a summer break, but you can still contact Paul and get things happening. Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com, and 416-444-PROS is the number. Today's topic, an important one to wrap up this season, by the way, the fastest ways to revenue, and the 7-step client value optimizer system is what we're talking about. You want to break down each one as we go, right? We kind of glazed over and did some bullet points.
And I want to make a distinction too, because, and I don't mean to cut you off, but there is a distinction between the fastest way to revenue, because people already have that. Yep. This is the fastest way to more revenue.
Right.
How do I increase revenue? Because, with cash flow, there's things you can do with that. With no cash flow, there's nothing extra you can do.
Okay.
In the world of business, at least that I live in, we can't pay with good intentions and a thumbprint.
No.
You have to have cash.
Yeah.
And if you want to grow a company, you want to scale up a company, that means human resources, better systems and processes, maybe better building, maybe better office space, that kind of stuff. You can't do that without cash.
No.
So the 7-step client value optimizer system, and I think it's appropriately named because it is 7 steps, but it is an automated system. So people are often confused when I say that. They say, well, that sounds like a lot of work. Mm-hmm. I got to go and find traffic sources. I got to go get lead magnets. I got to do automated follow-up systems. I got to have tripwires and core products and profit maximizers and return path and all those kinds of things. Now, oh my God, my head is spinning. Help me, help me, help me. That's where we come in, because it's an automated system that we install in the background. And I think every time I try to explain this to a client, because most business owners are still sort of stuck in 1990s Rolodex world, they don't completely understand how far technology has come.
Okay.
They think, because the majority of people that do email marketing, and email marketing is a wonderful thing, but the majority of people that do it don't use automation. They think it's automation because it does some automated things, but that's not a true system.
Okay.
This is not about sending an e-blast to your list. I want to make that very clear. People who do that by the way, the dog food company, that's when they bought Infusionsoft, that's all they were doing.
Just email blasts.
Just email blasts. And that has some effect, but very little in the world that I live in. You want to maximize a list, you have to do it based on trigger points. So let's say we sent an email to 1,000 people and it had a 30% open rate. Okay. Once it has a 30% open rate, then it has a click-through rate. There should always be a link in the email to take some sort of action.
Okay.
But most people don't track that action. So for us, if they click the link in the email, that's an action that has a follow-up system.
Okay.
There should be something in place to do something next, right? Where does it take them? What do they do next? And tracking them through that process. So that's what I mean by automation. And companies are thinking, well, we don't like to send a lot of email because it bothers our clients. This is not about sending a lot of email. This is about sending email only to those people who show an interest.
The right email, the right people.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Segment the list, send something that matters to them, and then based on everything they do from that point forward, segment them even more. And then companies are going, well, my God, I'd have to build this like massively complex IT system that's proprietary. No, it already exists. You pay a monthly fee to, the company who has the software, and you work out something with us, so we build it properly.
Nice.
So that runs in the background. And I think a lot of companies don't really realize how quickly that can happen. It doesn't take months. It takes sometimes a few days to do that because we've done it before.
Yeah.
Right. So it's basically optimizing a system that already exists. So I think when you're talking about automation, you have to understand I'm not requiring companies to do more. Yes, I'm requiring you to step in and sell more, talk to people, have a conversation, because there's going to be more selling to do because now you've got more leads and you've got more things going on. Interested people. But that's how companies grow. You can't grow without that. So it's, chicken or the egg, which comes first? Do I grow first and then get new business, or do I get new business and then grow? And the answer is you get new business and then grow because you're funding growth.
Right.
You're not going out and getting a startup loan of $100,000 to hire some new people to build growth. You're doing it the other way around. You're spending a very small amount of money to bring in revenue, which you can leverage to grow.
Very cool. Very cool.
Make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So then the first part of this, and where we spend a lot of time and where experience comes in, is we need to find the proper traffic source for these companies. So if you're an insurance company, where's your traffic coming from? If you are a car wash, like a VIP detailing company, where does your traffic come from? If you're a raw dog food company, where's your traffic coming from? If you're a business to consumer or business to business type of company. So those things are important because you could spend a lot of money in the wrong place and not get a lot of results. And if you don't get any results, there's not a lot to track. So our first point is we'll collect an email address, and then we don't have to sell that person this month. We can sell them over the next 6 months.
I would imagine a business like, you said like a car wash or an exclusive detailing shop, they might just have no idea where to find that. They're basing on people rolling up.
Well, the one that I'm thinking of is because I just start thinking of clients, right? The one that I'm thinking of, he didn't have any new business. That's so our job is to go find it. And we found tons of it actually for very low cost.
Wow.
So I think, it's good to rely on experience. Even if you have a conversation with me and all we ever do is spend an hour and I consult with you and you go, well, I think, Paul Tobey might be a little bit beyond my, financial means at this point. I'm okay with that. You'll grow into it.
You know where to go.
You'll grow into it. But at least in the hour consult, you at least, often we take our health, right? We go for a consult and they tell us something that we don't like to hear. And so what we do is we go get a second opinion. It's amazing how few businesses actually go for second opinions. The first thing they do is they check with their current staff. Well, here's my question to you. If you're relying on staff to do this, okay? Ask yourself, when was the last time you sent your staff out for proper training on advanced automation?
Never.
And so if the staff is saying, we don't need to hire anybody, we got it covered, then you might want to rethink that because it's very rare. We train a lot of companies' employees in our offices on how to actually use the systems that we build, and none of them come with proper training. We have to take them from scratch, basically.
And build them.
Actually, I'm going to talk about one specific example of how we did that after the break.
And we'll take a short break. The topic for today is we continue the fastest way to more revenue. To get a hold of Paul, this is the last one for the season before the summer break. It is Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com and the number 416-444-PROS. The Business Pros Radio Show continues. This is Global News Radio 640 Toronto. 416-444-7767. That is 444-PROS. To get a hold of Paul, email address as well, Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com. This is our last show for the season, back in the fall. So taking the summer break, but business does not take a break. Revenue does not take a break, or at least you don't want it to take a break. This is why we're doing this, right?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. We were talking about, just before the break, about a specific example of us taking an employee from zero experience to very advanced automation knowledge
to run this
within
system.
A day and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it wasn't actually an employee. It was actually the company owner. So sometimes companies send their employees for training, and we build systems and help them, and then we train them on them. And then sometimes company owners just want to take the bull by the horns and come and learn so they can make proper decisions. Well, this was the CEO of a company who had no experience at all in Infusionsoft, which is a very advanced automated CRM. And I mean, everyone I show it to, they didn't even know something like this existed. That's how powerful it is. It's very versatile. Anything you can think up in terms of trigger points and automation, you can make that happen, because it's basically customizable for every single client. Right. It's not an out-of-the-box solution. It's not an autoresponder. It's an advanced automated CRM that's set up specifically for your business. She comes in 5 to 9 on day one. By the middle of day 2, I gave them a very complex campaign scenario. Something like this. A customer comes to a potential client comes to your website, fills out a web form. On that web form, ask 2 questions, segment the audience based on these specific questions, Canada, USA, or other, and the other question is, which is the following best describes you? Segment the audience, send them the download that they requested. If they don't download on the first email, send 2 follow-up emails with the download. If they don't do the download, set a task to follow up, because the automation didn't get them to download, so get a human on it. Once they download, or the human takes care of the task, segment the audience based on the initial criteria. Now send them a survey of 3 questions, 3 different questions for each segmented audience.
Jeez.
Right. And without any other help, she nailed 95%.
Wow, no kidding.
Of that setup within Infusionsoft from start to finish in under half an hour.
Wow.
So think about the complexity of that situation, and then think about being able to do that for your company in a day and a half.
Do you just need generally to train one person, depending on the size of the company, I guess?
Typically one.
That's it, right?
One can look after it. I mean, if you have more salespeople, they need to know how to interact and things. But in order to build complex campaigns, sometimes, I mean, that particular scenario in my world is fairly simple. That's not complex in my world, but we can get complex. So maybe another couple of days of training could get them to like superstardom, but often not necessary. Sometimes simpler is better, depending on where you're starting. And if you're just starting out with automation, it's good to at least know what you're doing and what's possible. Now she has a very clear picture of what's possible for her company. And that's now she's coming back, and we're starting to build some very complex campaigns for her currently 10,000 customer list and soon to be 20,000 customer list, and, pull the most revenue out of there. So for us, that's core product, right? We're now at the core product stage. Our job is to get them to consume core products on a regular basis. Just like I just found out this is interesting, by the way, 98% of Canadians have used Amazon or shop on Amazon.
I'm not shocked. I do it all the time. I do it all the time.
I mean, that's a really, really big number. So pretty crazy, right? So the online world is really changing, and I want to have a conversation with clients this summer, because this is our last show before the fall.
Yeah.
Just email me or phone me, 416-444-7767 this week, and we'll talk about this stuff, because I know it works. I'm telling you right now, it never does not work, because it pulls revenue out of places that companies just leave behind.
Right.
You know, it's like, I had a mentor once, his name was Brian Clemmer, and he used to say it like this: go walk out into your backyard and now imagine that in your backyard, because you've never dug up your backyard, that there's just a field of diamonds there waiting for you to uncover it.
Right.
And that's what this is. It's like mining a field of diamonds that already exists within your current mailing list, within your current customer lists.
You just didn't know it was there.
Because you
need
don't know how to leverage it, right? Yeah. You can only send so many e-blasts and bug people.
Because they just delete.
The one-size-fits-all email is toast. Yeah. It's done.
Was it ever a thing? You know?
Yeah, it was. Sure. Yeah. I used to send out emails for sheet music. It works.
To an extent, but it
stopped working, actually, because people get too much email. Yeah. This is not about getting too much email. This is about getting targeted email on a very specific subject that matters to them at a specific time.
The 7-step client value optimizer system, that's what we're talking about. You need this. If you want more information, this is a good time to give Paul a call or an email. Last show for the season till we reconvene in the fall. It is paul@trainingbusinesspros.com and the number 416-444-7767. The Business Pros Radio Show rolls on Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. 416-444-PROS-7767 to get a hold of Paul @trainingbusinesspros.com. This is our last show for the spring/summer season. We'll reconvene in the fall, so if you're thinking about doing this, get on it and contact Paul and his folks, his people, the company, and start moving on. The 7-step client value optimizer system. This is a way to get more revenue. You're probably making revenue already. It's always good to have more. More is better, right?
Well, step one is to just get contact data.
Yeah.
As soon as you have somebody's contact data, you kind of win, because you don't have to sell them today.
Yeah.
You can sell them this week or next month or the month after that or the year after that. I've had people buy from our company 4 years after initially getting an email address. Like, as long as you're delivering value over time, they stick with it. And eventually, when their need meets the right time frame and they're the right person in the right place at the right time, they'll buy.
Sure.
Because you stayed in front of them, and often all you have to do is continue to deliver value. So the initial step is what we call lead magnet. So lead magnet, squeeze page, lead capture. There's a number of different terms for it. Lost leader. Essentially, it's something that you give the client that's low cost in time and money, and you give it to them for free in exchange for contact data. So if you're a product company, a sample works well. You could do what's called a bump, which is if you buy this, you get this. So buy one, get one free, or upsell to or cross-sell to a product or service. You wouldn't believe what people will do for a bone.
Oh, I know.
You know, dogs actually don't love bones; they love steak.
Yeah,
they settle for bones.
That's right.
And actually, people do too. People settle for bones, and they'll do almost anything for something free. It's crazy, actually. I'm always surprised at what people are willing to do for free stuff.
I've been doing this for a long time, and I've seen people claw each other's eyes out for a T-shirt. So I know what you're talking about.
It's amazing. You'll see a lineup, for like coffee, right? Yeah. Like something that
is everywhere.
Is everywhere, and it used to be 50 cents. I don't know.
A pen.
I can remember. I actually can remember. This is showing my age a little bit, but I can remember paying 30 cents for a coffee at Tim Hortons. Now it's, I don't know, $2.30.
Something like that. For a big one, yeah, maybe.
But if people give away free coffee, you'll have a lineup around the block.
It's a coffee.
People will give up an hour for a coffee.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah. Actually, wasn't there one outside chorus here not that long ago? Some guy was giving away
something.
They were barbecuing something, and there was this giant lineup of people, and it's amazing what people do. So they'll give an email address for pretty much anything. And once you have their email address,
you got them.
As long as you've got a good follow-up system, and that's really the important thing. And a good automated follow-up system, not an e-blast system. That's not what we're talking about. So, so get a good lead magnet together. Information works great if you're business to business, right? Give companies information that they can leverage. We often give away videos in exchange for an email address. We often do webinars in exchange for an email address.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, we do lots of things. There's plenty of informational products, audios, recordings. It's a long list.
How about Tripwire? You mentioned that before.
Well, Tripwire is one step above Lead Magnet.
Okay.
So Tripwire means, how can we get somebody to give us a small amount of money and then we give them high value in return? So I like Tripwire. Tripwire for us, for our company, tends to be seminars. We'll give somebody a $400 full day seminar, and we're not doing this right now, but often we'll do it for $100. If you sign up by a certain date, we'll do it for $100, and we'll give you your money back if you come to the seminar and you learn nothing, which is not possible. So nobody ever asks for their money back.
Yeah, right.
Actually, I think in the history of doing seminars, I might have had about a 0.5% refund rate. Because, you have to deliver value, but sometimes people's rent is due and that kind of stuff, right? I'm responsible for their rent.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation is, though, that for me, I can always think up these things for companies, because often companies go, well, I don't know what to give away. I don't know what it's often just about packaging. It's not what you give away. It's how you package it and give it away that matters. It's how you call it, what you name it. It's how you describe it. It's deal, bonus, limitation, guarantee, whatever. Make sure they understand what they're getting into and be very clear, because clarity is power. So it really doesn't matter what it is. We'll figure it out. We've figured it out for everyone, and we'll figure it out for you.
Could be a dog bowl.
It could be. It is a dog bowl, actually. Well, the dog bowl thing is that costs us money. Yeah. So very often you don't get the dog bowl until you spend some money. So that is Tripwire. It's not Lead Magnet. It's Tripwire.
So after they go through the Tripwire, and there's been a good deal for very little.
Over deliver on that promise,
right?
And then I'll just stay at core product for a while. Just keep pushing core product. Give them an incentive once in a while, and they'll buy.
And I assume you can track how many people go from Tripwire to core product and purchasing afterwards.
That's the beauty of the system.
Right.
Numbers are everything, right? So the key performance indicators that showing you which works and which doesn't. Mm-hmm. Does the Lead Magnet work? Does the Tripwire work? How many people are taking it? How long does it take them to take it? What's our conversion rates from each to eat from Lead Magnet to Tripwire to core product to profit maximizer? What's our conversion rates?
Will you go more than one Tripwire before you get to core product, or just get them in the door?
The problem, and here's the part of the problem. If you continuously produce Lead Magnets that are free, right, or you continuously produce Tripwires that are low cost in time and money, you're never going to make any money.
It's expectation.
Because people are like, they get lulled to sleep with your generosity. And they think, everything from Paul Tobey and his team is free. We actually have people like that. They're like, they'll only do free stuff ever. They'll never do anything or be successful, because
they're fun to deal with.
Here's my philosophy on that, by the way. And company owners, if this is the only thing you hear from this show, which is our last show for the summer, hear this. If you're not willing to invest in yourself and in your company, who'd be willing to invest in you?
Exactly. Right.
So status quo is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about upping your game. And so for me, it's always about delivering high value. But if there are customers or clients of ours, at least for the training company, that only do free seminars, they'll never be successful.
Right.
Never. Because they're only going to get X amount of value, and they're not willing to invest in themselves. So who'd be willing to invest in them?
We'll take a short break, get to a few more minutes here of the Business Pros Radio Show. We are talking about the fastest way to more revenue. Important show, last one for the summer season before we take a break. Contact Paul now. Keep it with you, Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com, and 416-444-PROS is the number. Right back. More here coming up on Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Business Pros Radio Show, last show for the summer. So if you want to contact Paul, you want to do it soon. And here's the contact, Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com, 416-444-7767. That's 444-PROS. And make that call. We are talking about the fastest way to more revenue. You're probably making revenue. You want more revenue. Who does not? The 7-step client value optimizer system. We're down to what? 5, 6, maybe profit maximizer. We like that. That's a good term.
Yeah, that's where it's really important that when you get a good set client base, then it's your duty and responsibility as a company to continuously innovate and automate your systems and processes to deliver them more value because they already trust you. So I often innovate new training courses. I often innovate new types of services for the marketing agency. And the first place I go is back to my core list of clients. And I don't send it to everyone. I send it to the core list. And I say, hey, before anyone else gets in this, and if you want us for this thing, this is your time frame to make that happen. And here's how to take the action on that. One thing you mentioned about contacting us, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is inherent in our website. So if you go to trainingbusinesspros.com, for example, and on the front page, it says, as heard on 640. That's us, by the way. That's you and I, our Business Pros Radio Show. If they click that, it scrolls to a couple choices. One says, visit the Business Pros Radio Show, and we'll track how many people actually do that. Okay. How many people go and listen to other episodes.
Cool.
And there's other things to do there. For example, let me do that. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to open up that in a new tab just for fun. And on there, it says, I can get a free cheat sheet, and I can watch previous episodes. I can do a whole bunch of things. I can watch videos. And I try to leave, and the cheat sheet pops up and get your free digital marketing cheat sheet. That's a lead magnet.
Okay.
Right? It's like we're getting an email address in exchange for something of value. But if I go back to where I was in the beginning, and it says, estimate the cost of digital marketing. I click that. It's going to say, do you want to estimate your digital marketing spend in order to compete in your industry vertical? Push here to start. So it runs them through a series of questions, and it assigns value to each response. And it says at the end of it, here's how much you should be spending based on your particular situation, give or take $5,000 or $10,000. And if you really want to know the exact amount, talk to us and we'll quote you on it. But this is what you should be willing to spend in order to up your game. So again, those are all... That's what we call customer journey. It's tracking their behavior through the system. Which of these things are actually working? Which don't work so well? How do we make them better? How do we respond to people's attention and interest? You with me?
Totally. It's just it's you unless you sit here and do this, you have no idea any of this is available to you. And I'm not speaking from a guy who's not a business owner, but I imagine people who are listening who are business owners going, damn, I didn't know I could do any of this. I didn't know this is possible.
It's amazing. You go to a lot of websites with here's what we do.
Yep.
Here's our team. Here's our clients. Here's a couple of testimonials.
That's what you see.
That's what you see.
Yep.
You don't see, let's go through a bunch of questions and estimate digital marketing. Let's go to listen to previous radio shows and download cheat sheets and take action, right? Take action. And a lot of companies feel, actually, it's interesting. They feel that it diminishes their value.
Why?
If they offer free stuff, if they offer a journey, because they're thinking, hey, people should want to do business with us.
They should come to me.
We're awesome. You build it, they will come. Yeah. The only response that I have to that, though, is if you're thinking that, if you're a business owner right now and that's what you're thinking, take a look at your current results and ask yourself, how's that working? That's all you got to do. You got to say, am I completely 100% happy with the amount of business that comes in the door every day? And if the answer is no, then you might want to consider calling me. But people don't like change. They resist change with every fiber of their being. They're also thinking in the back of their minds, it sounds really complex, so it's going to be really expensive. Mm-hmm. Not really. I've never had a company say to me it's too expensive. Right. They might go find another supplier because it's less expensive and that's their motivating factor, but they'll always be back.
Email address still valuable?
It is to us. It might not be 2 years from now.
Really?
Well, when that time comes, where do you think we'll be? Behind or ahead? Our job is to anticipate the death of email. That's our job. Right now, it's not dead. I know this for a fact.
What do you think what happens
we just
afterwards?
leveraged a mailing list in one day to sell $180,000. It's not dead.
Where do you go from there? Just forecasting. What do you think?
Well, I think text is important, but people don't like to be spammed on text. So, and you can only say so much.
Right.
So I think there's going to be, my belief is that the world of virtual is going to enter into it pretty quickly. We're going to be, it's hard to really tell exactly. I'm not a developer. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I'm a marketer. If somebody develops something great, I'll market it,
Right.
but I don't have the mind to go to forecast the future. If I could, I probably would have bought, hemp stocks.
Right? Exactly.
Which would have been a really good idea.
Going to wrap it up for now. What do you want to tell them before we take our summer break?
Thanks for listening. It's been a pleasure talking to you over the last couple of years. We are taking a break for the summer. Mm-hmm. I do welcome conversations. No questions are poor. No questions are low value questions. Every question is asked because they don't know the answer. So I'll provide some answers. We'll get on an online meeting and I'll show you what's possible with other companies. I'll show you what we've done with them. Every company qualifies, small, big, whatever right. You're working on, but just don't leave it forever. Like if you're thinking, well, I've got it covered and I've got people to take care of that, and that's what they're telling you. I've heard, I'll give you one example. A company who failed to do a backup of their software. So they're a software provider for a company that is one of our clients. It's their back-end systems. The company does an update, but doesn't back up the site, and it crashes.
Oops. And
they come to us for the backup. When we have clear recommendations and emails sent to them 2 months ago that this is your responsibility.
Right.
But they're still, not claiming any, responsibility.
Gotcha.
So in the area of responsibility, if your people are telling you, the business owner, or you, the manager, that everything is great, don't believe it, because I can tell you there's always areas for growth. So don't rely on your closest circle of influence. Think about the last time you sent your people out for advanced training on this type of stuff, and you won't know until you have that conversation with me. So have a great summer, everyone. It's been a pleasure. And John, thank you so much for your work on the show. I
appreciate it. And we'll take our short break again. Contact Paul. You can still do so even though we're wrapping up today. Paul at trainingbusinesspros.com is the email.